A woman in Malta wrote to me recently after seeing one of my interviews with a South African podcaster called Jeremy Nell, who writes a really beautiful podcast called Germ Warfare, Jerm Warfare. And he titled the podcast, Men Have No Courage, They Have No Balls. And a woman in Malta actually wrote to me and she said, thank you for telling me and putting into words what I have been feeling for the last 2 years. Feeling for the last 2 years. And this is the feeling that my female patients have. They don't feel feminine. They don't feel desired. They don't feel loved. They don't feel pursued. They feel like their sense of value is poor. They're unattractive. They're not wanted. And they feel hopeless. So both sexes are being driven apart. They're not being driven towards one another, being driven away. And both sexes are growing lonelier and lonelier. They're losing a sense of purpose and meaning in their lives. Men, young men in particular, who don't have a sense of purpose and meaning to couple with a woman, feel emasculated. And women who are not being desired don't feel beautiful, don't feel sexy. And all they have left really is to go to work and climb the corporate ladder. And that does not appeal to women. With few exceptions, women do not receive their sense of satisfaction, meaning life from work as men do. So we're killing the soul, the meaning, the purpose of both male and female through this cultural indoctrination, through feminism, through toxic masculinity, rape culture, the big evil Donald Trump. And everyone, male and female, are suffering. And they're coming to me and they're saying, I don't know what to do. They're bereft. And I try to help them, but I can't fix society.
Now, how did some of this translate to what we saw from the public in general with this COVID mess?
Well, what I always say is when you see men walking around outside, big, strong men wearing camo, slinging rifles, tatted up, shaved heads with a face diaper on, this does not make women feel safe. I had a deputy sheriff from Canada say to me on a Zoom call once, I don't feel safe around these men. What I feel is if there were a real threat, not just a little bug flying around, but a real physical threat, these guys would throw me under the bus and they'd run for the hills. I do not want to be around men who are so scared of something in the air that they cover their faces with a diaper. Now, that is a visual reminder of the emasculation of men. When I see men walking around outside with masks on their faces, it reminds me of the lack of masculinity now in our culture and the encouragement, the fervor that we put these masks on adults and children, but certainly on men, I think really, really shows and reveals a compliant, receptive, feminine attitude towards government overreach, towards orders, towards mandates, which is not masculine. Had men pushed back, as they would have, I think, 20 years ago, I don't think we would be in the mess that we're in. I think a lot of the reason why we have been essentially laying down for all of this is that men failed to stand up. And then women, in their stead, they had to jump in and take over the task that men wouldn't take. And women are not designed for that. They can do it short term. They can do it on a war. When all the men are away fighting, they can go into the factories and they can turn the lipstick factories into bullet casing ammunition factories. Sure, they can do that. But it's exhausting. It makes them feel anxious. And often many women become histrionic because their job is not to go out there and fight the battles. That's the male battle. It's not the female battle. And it doesn't encourage them to focus their energy and attention on where it's really, really needed in a crisis, which is protecting the home, protecting the child, providing nourishment, safety, protection on an emotional basis. They can't do that when they're out there fighting the battles that the men are refusing to fight. That's how I think it came forward and expressed itself in the summer of 2020. And it's still going on today. Men are still not standing up. They're still acting like eunuchs. And women, to a large degree, and I'm going to say large degree because there's always women that are saying, well, you're saying all women are like this. I'm not saying all women are like this. I'm speaking in generalities because that's the only way we can learn. Yeah. I don't know why I have to keep saying this, but I do. In large part and to a large degree, women are still acting in a histrionic fashion and they're not able to use their rational and emotional brain.